Yes, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here, and we are back with today's episode of the Rumour Mill. Loads of people in the chat, content flying at you at the minute. It is chaos here. Hope you enjoyed the debrief last night. That will be available on audio as soon as I finish this show here today. I've just not had enough time. That will be audio based. So if you're out and about, I know sometimes the YouTube ads can be very, very annoying. So this will be completely ad free. I'm not gonna, there's no, I'm not sort of uploading it for any money or anything like that to get any advertisements on Spotify or iTunes or anything. It's just for your audio pleasure. So get on there, listen to it on there if you prefer that sort of platform as well. And if you haven't just checked it out in general, make sure you do that. It was a really good episode. The weekly schedule, I'm going to start putting out a weekly schedule as well, so you guys know what time I'm going to be uploading and what's going to be coming where and when. But the Newcastle preview I'll be recording either today or tomorrow. And it's not going to be recorded as late as Thursday this time because, I've got a lot of things to say about Newcastle. I've got a lot of things to say about Leeds. And we touched on it last night in the debrief. So if you want to get a little bit more on that, make sure you stay tuned and make sure you subscribed also to One Leeds. Riley's in the building. Morning, Jack Glennie. Yeah, what shirt? The Dutch side, mate. Wonderful Dutch side. One of the best footballing teams ever. Massive fan. Joe Madigan. Morning, mate. Hope you're all right. Ian Blackwood's in the building as always. Good morning from Wales. Hiya, mate. John Pickles. Morning, Connor from Thailand. Whereabouts are you, mate? Whereabouts are you? Chiang Mai. I lived for a while. Incredible place. Paul is here. Morning, Connor. Great win at West Ham. But does it mean the board think we're okay with what we have and won't make signings? Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to that, mate. Allegedly, Sky Sports are saying that we are actively looking for a midfielder. Whether or not you believe that is a different story, really. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. But yeah, it gives them a bit of leeway, doesn't it? 2 impressive wins on the bounce, 6 goals scored. But let's touch wood that Adam Forshaw is available for this one, and he said he's going to push for the weekend's game. That's what he said. He's going to push. He's going to try be fit. But what I don't want is Adam Forshaw to tweak anything, So if he has to be back after the international break, hamstrings are an absolute nightmare. They're horrible. I had hamstring injuries throughout my footballing career, and they're not easy to shake off. So basically what I'm trying to say there is Leeds always need depth in central midfield, especially if we're potentially looking at moving Rodrigo on. So I want to, John Garner's in the building as well. John from Leeds, new subscriber, great show. Thank you, buddy. Morning, Raj. Hello. So is the Dutch tribute to Pascal's performance? Of course. But yeah, what I want to touch on as well is something we touched on the debrief last night. It is Rodrigo. Now, there's a lot of rumours circulating. I'm not going to pull the graphic up on screen because we know this. We spoke about it yesterday. El Nacional, who are half decent at reporting, normally it's a little bit 50-50. But have reported several times that apparently Rodrigo and Xavi are in sort of direct conversation. Apparently, according to this report, Rodrigo is looking to get back into the Spain national side. And the only way he sees himself doing that before Qatar 2022 is to be playing first-team football, which he doesn't feel that he's going to be doing regularly at Leeds, especially with, hopefully, the central midfield expansion in the next 30 days to 6 months. So listen, Rodrigo is going to be getting older, isn't he, by the time we hit the summer months? Is it up to Leeds now to cash in on him, when his stock is relatively high? Because obviously his stock's going to diminish if he's not going to be playing towards the back end of the season. So is it smart for Leeds United to cash in on Rodrigo now? We're having a chat in the debate last night, and Brownie came with the viewpoint that, listen, if we're looking to get rid of Rodrigo, we have to replace. And I completely understand that. But, we're also speaking, KG was saying as well that potentially it could block the development of Joe Gelhardt playing in that role. And I think that's also a really, really valid point. I'm sort of in the middle with it. But for me, I think when his stock is high, which it is, I think it's high at the minute. He's come back from injury, but before then he's been okay. He's been featured in the lead side. He's had glimmers of the Spanish squad as well over the past year. I think you've got to sell while his stock is reasonably high. And El Nacional are talking about him potentially going for 15 and above million. I don't think we get that in the summer. I really don't. I think Barcelona's transfer strategy is bizarre as it is. So if they were to maybe evaluate that in the summer, they may retract anything close to that bid. So when they're in panic stations at the minute, and there might be direct conversation between Rodrigo's agent, who's pushing it, and Xavi and Barcelona and Laporta, that is something for me that I would 100% go for in this window. I think the 8 role doesn't really fit. He doesn't fit in a striking capacity. We saw that at the weekend when he came on. He still played in central midfield when Dan James was still up front. That's not working. So Bielsa essentially sees him as a central midfielder. This hasn't worked. The project for me hasn't worked of Rodrigo at Leeds United. Keep getting your comments in the section below what you guys think. But it's unfortunately that Leeds didn't buy him to look to sell him on. Leeds bought him to make an instantaneous impact. It was opportunistic. They bought him when he was 29 years of age. Valencia were going through a little bit of trouble. Leeds thought we're going with a cash offer. Got accepted. You know, only years earlier, Barcelona were looking to put 50, 60 million in for this guy. So there is a long-term interest, and that's why it makes complete sense. So, yeah, for me, it's just not worked for him at Leeds United. It will not work for him at Leeds United. I don't think he fits the system at all. I don't think he's pressy as a midfielder. You know, we saw the difference when Lewis Bate came off and Rodrigo came on. I understand, like Brownie said, he held the ball up quite nicely, but his energy in the press, it completely diminishes. And I thought Leeds started to lose the midfield battle. The physicality was taken out of it really when Lewis Bate came off, that terrier-like approach. And Leeds did drop off for me. And you know, Declan Rice started getting a lot more of the ball. Lanzini got more of the ball as well. I'm not saying that's just down to Rodrigo, but all he wants to do is get forward. And that defensive capacity is always going to be a problem in a man-for-man system. So keep getting your comments in. I'd be really interested to hear what you guys are talking about. Jack's in the building. It says 15 more than I thought we'd initially get. Michael's saying Leeds United style is not a good fit for Rodrigo. Plus, he's been playing out of position. He's used to playing as part of a front two, as he previously did for Valencia. I'd sell Rodrigo for 16 million if it means we can buy two £8 million midfielders. Yeah, I mean, John Swift, you are getting John Swift right now for below 8 million. You know, his contract runs out in the summer. You're getting him for below 8 million. Come on, Leeds. 15 million loss on Rodrigo. Oh dear, says Edgem. I agree, but listen, it is what it is, Edge. You know, what are we going to do? What's the eventuality here? Us get to summer and that offer to be halved. Leeds may not be able to even sell him on. From what I understand, he's one of the highest earners, the top 2 earners, top 3 earners, which you're looking 80 grand and above a week. It's not just the transfer value, it's the wage per week as well, which Leeds just simply have to get rid of. If Leeds were to supplement John Swift for Rodrigo, and Rodrigo's on 80 plus a week, and John Swift comes in for maybe 40, 45 a week, Leeds have won there. So yeah, it's for me, it's not worked, and it will not work. It's not going. There's no future proof for this. You know, it's just when Leeds sell, and I think Leeds should sell in this window, even if they didn't bring anyone in, genuinely, which would crush me. It would disappoint me massively. If we don't bring anyone in, I think you've still got to look objectively. You're selling when his stock's high. Rodrigo is clumsy, bad touch, not quick enough. I think he doesn't fit the system or the pace of the Premiership in general. He's suited for the Spanish League. It's a really good comment. Yeah, the Spanish League, the intensity, the tempo, the pace. I'm not saying it's worse, but it's very different to the Premier League. And acclimatise into that after playing your whole career in Spain is very difficult, especially at the back end of your career, you could say. So let's get on to some more stuff today with regards to the Rumour. We've not properly touched on it yet. Okay, so Matthias Klich as well. There's been a lot of talks recently about him leaving Leeds United for whatever reason, but there's been a lot of talk about him leaving Leeds potentially in January. He cleared up this on his Instagram account. Klich appeared to respond directly about those club links. Away from the club, I already told you I'm not going anywhere in January. Stop calling me, with quite a nice pun there, quite a nice caption there from Matthias. Stood in front of a lovely Leeds graphic, and it looks like he's on the phone potentially to someone within Leeds, which is great, not outside of Leeds. So I think that's obviously good. I mean, someone like Matthias Klich, I still don't think his long-term future is at Leeds. Another one who's, I think, is the oldest person in the squad now. He brings a lot to Leeds United in terms of off the ball. I do think on the ball, he's not what he was. I think his energy off and on the ball isn't what it was, but I do think he's a massive part of this side at the minute. He's still one of the better players in this side at the minute. But, that's when you're sizing him up, maybe against a Tyler Roberts. But, I think aside from that, Leeds have to be looking at that next caliber of midfielder. Sentiment goes out the window, as I always say on this channel. That's not negativity, for God's sake. It's not negativity. It is just we have to move on. We have to grow. We have to develop, and that's we don't want to be in these relegation battles for the next 4 or 5 years. And I'm not saying Klich's a symptom of that, but not developing the squad will be a symptom of that, So for me, great that he's sticking around in January. If he's to leave in summer, maybe I'd have a different opinion there. Or, if he is to stick around, maybe a bench option, and Leeds are really to elevate their midfield, which I think would see Leeds going to the top of the tree in terms of, you look at Aston Villa, and Aston Villa aren't one of the best sides in the Premier League for me. They're not. They're still quite far off it. They've invested a lot of money, of course they have, but they've still got a top midfield, a really, really top midfield. For me, one of the, if not one of the best midfields in the Premier League. It can go up against any midfield, and I think that's what Leeds need to build, a top midfield, especially if we're playing in a man-for-man, athletic system that we are every single week. It needs physicality. It needs players at the top of their fitness level. Not just running, but everything else, physicality, as I've just said, athleticism, power, and that's the next level for me. Reckon he'll be there a few more years as a squad player, though. Yeah, 100%. Also disagree. He stops youth progress. Joffy is a 9, Bate an 8, and Rodrigo is a 10. Yeah, but we don't play Rodrigo as a 10. Rodrigo isn't a 10, and you say Bate is an 8, but they still play in the same position. If you look at Joffy, Bate, and Rodrigo, when everybody's fit, I thoroughly believe Joffy could play more times just in behind Patrick Bamford. Same with Rodrigo, same with Bate. So they might play the same role, but in the 4-1-4-1 system, they're all going to be playing that similar system. They're all going to be playing that similar system and that similar position. And whatever you say, it does block players from getting that chance. And what's the long-term goal with Rodrigo? And that's what I'm. If let's say if you put in all of those three players next to Matthias Klich, one of them's going to have to miss out. We don't want many of them to miss out, do we? Because I don't know if Joffy's going to ever get ahead of Patrick Bamford up front consistently. And Bamford, for me, is going to be on our books for the next 3 to 4 years. So, yeah, it's an interesting point of view. Of course it is. It's definitely interesting. Once again, Matt saying, hey, disagree on the impact of taking Bate off, pushing Klich into the 8 instead of Rodrigo gave us much more midfield balance. Yeah, Matt, it's a valid opinion, but I thought definitely West Ham came on a little bit more. I thought they were winning their individual duels a bit more as well. And I thought the terrier-like approach of Lewis Bate was giving us something more defensively. I thought anytime Rodrigo does get the ball, he wants to go forward, even taking up his position every single week when he's in that midfield position. He takes it up as a 10. And I think in that midfield, across that 4, you have to pick up more of an 8 role as well. And sometimes you have to drop into the 6. That's what we talk about versatility. It's comprising all of those midfield areas, not just one. Hi, Connor. Loving the chat. All Leeds, aren't we? Thank you, my friend. Rodrigo, Mike said, plays more suited as a foil for another centre forward, a big lump. He doesn't suit us, unfortunately. It's not Rodrigo's fault. And I don't want that to be a symptom of these discussions. It's not his fault. It's not. He shouldn't have been bought in the first place because he was never going to fit the system. He was never ever going to fit the system. He's naturally a striker in a 2. Spain's number 9 when we brought him. Let's not take anything away from that. And it's just not worked because we're playing him in midfield in the best league in the world, where we play a man-for-man system. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. We really will, but it's going to be fascinating with regards to Rodrigo. Okay, so Mourinho and Inter Milan and Mourinho's Roma have joined the race to sign Nottingham Forest on loan star DJ Spence. It comes after Leeds and Arsenal will link with the Middlesbrough man. The reason I brought this up, guys, is because this was on Sky Sports as well this morning about the on loan Forest star. He looks like a real player, more of a right wing back. A little bit of an Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but obviously a lot better end products. But he seriously is impressing on loan at Nottingham Forest. He's only 21 years of age, can play left, can play right. He's big enough to be playing centre-back as well. And it seems once again of that championship mould where Leeds can go in and get good value for money. Having decided to move to the City ground from Middlesbrough on a season-long loan, he's played 19 times for Forest this season, missing just 2 games. It's quite unusual that Borough have loaned him out to Forest, in similar positions. Sky Sports claim that Leeds and Arsenal have made inquiries to sign the versatile right footer who can play as a right back or a right winger. The Express say that Middlesbrough will still want a fee of 15 million. Great, but we don't need it. We don't need it. If we've sent Jarme away. Okay, that's done now. He's never going to play again for me. Whatever your opinion is on the matter. Jamie Shackleton plays as a right back or a right wing back, whenever he's fit, even as a central midfielder. Stuart Dallas fills in as a right wing back, whatever. So if we're sending Drame away on loan, he's never really going to play for Leeds United again. Are we just replacing Cody Drame there? Because is that vital? I know it's still square pegs round holes with Dallas and Shackleton. It goes against what I was saying before. But Leeds United don't tend to recruit in several positions. They don't do it. You know, it's minimalistic. It has been since we got into the Premier League, and that summer it's been really minimalistic over the 4 years under Bielsa. So are we going to go out and get another right wing back and a central midfielder? For me, it's whatever the focus is with Leeds United. If we're looking this window at a right wing back / right winger, I'd be really disappointed, even if he does sort of back up Luke Ayling in terms of the only natural right wing back we have. But I don't understand that. I'd be really disappointed if Leeds were to go into this window and that would be the marquee signing, because you think that if it was 10 to 15 million, that's all that Leeds would probably spend based on patterns and trends of what we've done before. I would like us to go out there and sign a central midfielder. I think that's absolutely essential, especially with the rumours circulating around Rodrigo at the minute, and obviously our deficiencies in that role. I think it just has to happen. And a right wing back and a right winger, it just seems every single time. We joked on our WhatsApp grouve, me, KG and Brownie, about it. Are we going to get another winger? And we had a laugh and we went, surely not. But DJ Spence, you know, this guy, I've more watched him for Middlesbrough. I've never watched him for Forest, to be fair. So I'll have to swat up on that one. But for Middlesbrough, he's just a flying sort of right wing back / winger. That's what he is. So do we need that? Do we need to spend 10 to 15 million on that if we're still keeping Jamie Shackleton around, if potentially Cody Drame is coming back, and if Dallas is seen as that sort of hybrid that he is in multiple roles? Fascinated to get your guys' thoughts on this. Let me know in the comment section below. James Cole's in the building. Been to watch Forest this season because my mate and brother support them and live 20 minutes from Nottingham. Spence is really good, and I believe next year will be a Premier League player. Yeah, he looks like he's got everything, James, in terms of the presence, the physicalities, the attributes that you need to be in the Premier League. But I'm just a little bit worried that if this is the case, it would disappoint me. It really would, because I think we're covered on that front, especially if it is a winger that we're looking at him to supplement. I don't know. Agree, Connor, not a position that we're short on. It's probably fake news and agents putting out stories. 100%. Yeah, that's what the rumour mill's all about. Shackleton isn't good enough, in my opinion, and Ayling would get in on, so it'd be a good sign. Yeah, good point, Alfie. Yeah, I would probably agree with you with Shackleton, mate, in terms of long term. I wouldn't be wholly disappointed if he was sold in the summer. I think if we were to bring in someone like a Spence, who's applied his trade very, very successfully in the Championship, has got all the attributes, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's priorities, Alfie. I think it's what we need right now. Do we need to go out and buy a right wing back? If we're to go out and get a central midfielder as well, yeah, of course, 100%. But if Leeds are to just do one signing this summer, the winter window, which we always call it, then for me, it just has to be a central midfield. And the only reason I'm saying we're going to do one is because Leeds, it's normally one and done, isn't it? Or one and max two and done. But I just don't think we'll be spending a large amount on a central midfielder and a large amount on a right wing back. But, you know, if you to bring Spence and Swift in, the two S's, that'd be absolutely fantastic. That'd be great. Connor, to what extent should Leeds be doing our best to hold on for now with existing players? Jan signings never seem to work out, and it sounds like we're going big with the summer overhaul. Yeah, Johnny, 100%. I think it's an interesting conundrum, really, because I think a lot of people will be riding on the back of the two wins, and I am as well. You know, you'll hear this with my prediction for the Newcastle game. I'm really buoyed by what I've seen at the minute, but there's going to be a natural overhaul, and that could be Rodrigo leaving, which I think will happen in the next 6 months. Rafinha potentially leaving, you know, in summer, when hopefully Leeds have offered him a new contract and we get a large amount of money for him. Klich maybe leaving, you know, there needs to be players going out, and fans need to really acclimatize themselves to that thought process so that we're able to elevate as a side, elevate our league position week in, week out. And that's not saying these guys haven't done an amazing job, but there needs to be, as we've seen with Leicester, as we've seen with Wolves, a renovation cycle. And I think at the minute, I would still let players go in this month. For me, that's what I would do, because as I've just said before, Johnny, the stock is high of some of these players at the minute. So that could be different in the summer, dependent on where Leeds finish and dependent on how these guys have done for the remainder of the season. But right now, there are some players in our squad, for me, who their stock is high and we could get some decent cash for them. You know, clubs are panicking a little bit at the minute as well in terms of league position. They'd maybe want Premier League players to come in. I think we'd be able to sell a few of our players right now, and then be able to overhaul it a little bit more in the summer. I think overhauling a whole squad in the summer, just one window, is going to be very, very, very difficult, really difficult. And I think it's slightly unrealistic. I said this on the Rumour Mill right at the start. If Leeds are able to do it over a progression of three windows, that's what I think would be a realistic plan for me. Yeah, interesting question though. Leeds don't seem to let any information out until the last minute. Yeah, Mark, it's bang on. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and I think that's because the club keep it as a tight ship right now. We've definitely seen that when Bielsa's been come into the club. It's very much continental where we get our news from now, and that's why I started the Rumour Mill, because everything our end was getting a little bit slow, and I try scout different articles and places online to bring you guys, Calcio Mercato, La Masa, and all these different sort of articles where you can get a broader view, and potentially Leeds can inquire about many players. We can be interested in many players. That for me is definitely true with a lot of these players. It's definitely true, but then putting a bid in is a whole different proposition. Let's go on the next rumour, shall we? Well, it's not the rumour. It's great news. Talking to Instagram, the midfielder Adam Forshaw has revealed it's only minor, and he's looking to be in contention on Saturday when Leeds host Newcastle at Ellen Road. Thanks for the messages. He said it's only a small hamstring injury. I'm fighting to be ready for Saturday. If not, I'll be back straight after the break. Failing that, he will be back after a short break when Leeds travel to Villa Park to face Aston Villa on Feb the 9th. Now, massive this one, really, because as I've said to you guys, the hamstring is a big problem. You can tweak it. We've seen that with so many Leeds players, haven't we? Tweaking your hamstrings. Firpo's done it more than once now. It's a real problem area, especially with the physicality, the murder ball, the training sessions that Leeds have every single week. Having a hamstring tweak and a hamstring problem and going at that intensity that Marcelo Bielsa expects you to hit day in, day out, is a real test on your body, but especially your hamstrings, which you're utilizing really more than any other muscle in the body. So Leeds have got to really take this one carefully, take this one slowly, sorry. And I've been in a position where I've rushed a hamstring injury back, and it's horrendous because you're then out for 6 weeks. And this is once again what I think the club should be very aware of, that we've said this from the start. If Forshaw gets injured, with the midfield problems, as I've said before, the deficiencies that we have, Leeds are in trouble. So that's why you bolster it. Bielsa's come out in his press conference before and he said, the problem is we keep getting injuries in different positions, but the most important positions on the pitch, the goalkeeper and the central midfield for Leeds United, were way too light. And even if 2 results on the bounce have been excellent for Leeds, we're still picking up injuries. Roberts, Firpo again, Forshaw. There's still problems there in terms of injuries. Joe Gelhardt, Bamford in training. So, but the positions where Leeds are extremely light and where it's extremely important, the goalkeeper and the central midfield space, Leeds for me have to do things there. So it's good that Forshaw's on his way back, but if he has to recover, that's a symptom of it, and that's where you could put a midfielder in for Newcastle, who is a proven midfielder, an experienced midfielder, but Leeds don't have that at their sort of disposal at the minute. So it might have to be a loose bait, which I wouldn't be adverse to. Let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying. Ola Aina, a lot of people talking about him. The green screen with the clothes rack is a nice touch. Yeah, I just thought I'd make it a little bit indie. Some of you guys are saying Forshaw injury was a matter of time. Another midfielder recruited would have this balance, would balance his workload. Yeah, and you got to ease him back in as well, haven't you? Seems like a midfielder and a fullback are on the card, says Nicholas. Let's hope so. And yeah, I mean, and Riley's right. Forshaw is a class in that midfield. We've missed whilst he's been on the sideline. Yeah, we can't afford to have him out really, and that's why contingency plans just have to be drawn up. Bit of Newcastle news now. Just before the weekend, Diego Carlos is edging closer. Diego Carlos is a centre-back at Sevilla to a Newcastle United Football Club move, but still not confirmed yet. Told senior club officials have been working round the clock to secure targets and boost their squad before Leeds. They've encountered resistance at every turn, but 2 players, I can't get other name, are likely. And that's off a Telegraph journalist tweet. So it looks like Newcastle are going to be bringing in 2 bodies before the Leeds game. And listen, this could be the last time that we ever sort of do Newcastle properly. You would expect if Leeds are to do something, at the weekend against the Geordies, because Obviously, they're going to be getting better season upon season. You would expect to invest heavily. So we slapped 5 past them at Ellen Road last season. Wouldn't it be great to do that again? It'd be absolutely fantastic. And yeah, even if a couple of players are coming in to deal with Marcelo Bielsa's intensity, Leeds United's intensity on your first game, it ain't easy. More news on Calvin Phillips, the El Nacional. Once again, we spoke about this yesterday, and this is sort of a hybrid of the news yesterday. Jurgen Klopp's side are lining up a 33 million bid for the Yorkshire Pirlo, but a number of other clubs around Europe are interested, including Munich, PSG, and Madrid. In fact, Madrid are now favourites to sign the midfielder, according to El Nacional, who say Leeds are more willing to let Phillips move abroad to stop him joining a Premier League rival. The report adds that Phillips is one of Carlo Ancelotti's great obsessions after the Italian watched him play on numerous occasions whilst in charge at Everton. And listen, we know Carlo Ancelotti's made several very, very good central defensive midfielders in his time across Europe. So the one that stands out for me probably is Casemiro, who deploys a very, very similar role to Calvin Phillips. So listen, as I've said to you guys before, you can be interested in Leeds players, but to actually put a formal bid in for them is a completely different kettle of fish. So yeah, it's going to be obviously once again interesting to hear what happens with there. But I do feel there's going to be a lot of clubs sort of looking at Calvin Phillips. But to then put in an offer is going to be a different matter. Guys, there's nearly 500 of you in here. There's never been that much for a morning rumour mill. So if you wouldn't mind giving me some likes on the video, it just gives me an indication that you're liking what we're doing here on One Leeds. As I say, check the debrief out. I'll put that as an audio podcast as well. As I say, keep your comments coming in on your thoughts on the signings, etc. There will be a Newcastle preview out sooner rather than later, and we'll be back tomorrow, as always, with the rumour mill, everybody. Listen, have a good day, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.